Well, we're going to keep it moving and we're actually going to go on to our next presentation. And the presentation's focus is from code to impact, how open source and DPGs are transforming public services. So Julia Diaz leads code for development at the Inter-American Development Bank, IDB, promoting the adoption of open source software across Latin America and the Caribbean. She supports IDB teams to innovate through open innovation and the development of digital solutions to enhance public policy, design, and execution. With over 10 years of experience in multilateral and social impact organizations in Latin America, and a master's in public administration from Columbia University, Julia is passionate about using digital tools and innovative approaches to improve public policy, design, and execution. Please make Julia welcome.
Those introductions are so uplifting that I will be canceling therapy this week. Thank you. But I have this amazing task. We have been talking about open source from the opening remarks to ancient. In all of every speaker talked about open source, right? And I'm here to go a little deeper into open source. So I will briefly stop our conversation on DPI to go into open source and then get right back into DPI again. But before I start talking about open source, I want to go back into DPI versus DPG. It's just one letter difference. And I know that a lot of the people that I talk to, just say, DPG is DPI open source, right? So I thought it was, let's take just 2 minutes to go deeper into the difference among them. And then we go into open source. I'm not going to go into DPI. We have been talking about DPI the whole day, but one thing that Dan said and everybody else said is that DPI is an approach. DPI is an approach for digital transformation based on building digital blocks that are transversal for everything else. That can be transversal to all sectors, cross-border. We're talking about digital ID. We're talking about data sharing, digital payment, is an approach. DPG I cannot read there. DPG is open source software, open AI system, open data, open content collections that follow 9 requirements. They're relevant to sustainable development goals. They have approved open source license and clear documentation. They do no harm by design. They ensure privacy and much more. So, DPI is an approach for digital transformation based on shared digital infrastructure. DPGs are open source software, open AI, open data, and open content collections. So why can we not stop talking about DPGs when talking about DPIs? Let's go start from the beginning. Okay, I know that DPI as a term started in 2023. We also know that DPI in practice started a long time before that. We start with, and I also know that all of you really, really know those 3 use cases and those 3 countries. So I'm also not going to spend a lot of time here. But in the 1990s, you have Estonia just becoming an independent country, having no digital government, having a siloed structure of government, and having to start from scratch with a population that didn't trust the government. And I think trust is a big topic here today. And they built X-Road to be a future-proof digital infrastructure for Estonia to share data in a decentralized manner. Then you cut to 2009 and you have India, which I'm not going to share that much because then we're going to have a lock there sharing in very detailed, amazing India case. But India back in the day had 20% of its population bankerized. I actually took a picture from Alak's presentation yesterday. You had most of the population without a national ID, which meant that the government could not deliver social protection benefits to them, and they needed a scalable 1.4 billion way to reach that. And they built Aadhaar. And then you cut back to 2020, you have Brazil building PICs to guarantee inclusivity in the banking system, increase efficiency, reduce use of cash, and all of that we already know. So why I'm talking about these 3 use cases? Because they own their digital infrastructure. They wanted to own that. X-Road, PIX, Aadhaar, UPI, the code from all of those use cases are owned by the government. And why did they want that? We talked about it already. They needed digital sovereignty. So if we're talking about core digital systems, you need to own the code. They needed agility. So you're talking about transversal infrastructure, right? You want to adapt to different use cases. You want all ministries to issue digital credentials. You want everyone to use your digital ID. You have to update fast. You have to change fast. And in order to do that, you need to own the code. Scalability. Interpretability, which I also think is a really difficult word to say. And especially, and finally, cost efficiency. So with all of that, with having to scale really fast, having to adapt to different really case really fast, all of this costs money. And if you own the code and if you're not dependent on a single vendor, you are more cost efficient. But the thing is, they were first movers. And it's not always good to be a first movers because now everyone else that is building DPI, they don't have to start from scratch. And this is where DPGs come in. There are so many open source technological solutions built on those use cases that are ready to use. You don't need to build from scratch. X-Road is actually open source as well. And one thing that I don't want that we follow into a trap that we create a third conversation. We don't have to discuss, are we going to build internally? Are we going to buy a solution or are we going to implement open source? It's not the discussion still is build or buy, as has always been in the government. The thing is that if the government decides to build now, it doesn't need to build from scratch. There's a lot of open source solutions that you can take advantage from. And if you decide to buy, you can hire vendor to implement those open source solutions. And that way, you will have outside support. You will have a vendor that will implement, that will adapt, that will maintain your open source solution. You don't have to have this capacity in-house, but you're not locked in with a vendor. You still own the code that you have, even if you do not have to maintain it internally. And here I go back to the benefits slide of owning the code. Because here we still, if you implement DPGs, you're still owning the code. The source, you downloaded the source code, is yours. You can do whatever you want according to the licenses. Pay attention to the licenses. But you also add 2 additional benefits. One is trust. And this is a big topic for digital government. So you have an auditable solution. If citizens don't trust your digital ID, you can say, look, this is the code. This is how we're gathering our information. This is how you're sharing our information. You can audit. It's all there. And it helps regional integration. So you all have open standards. You know how the infrastructure is built, and you can integrate them much easier. And I wanted to talk about, and this has been talked about 3 times, I think, here today. So I will not spend a lot of time. So one of the many ways that we're supporting the Dominican Republic and Jamaica is in partnership with Co-Develop and CDPI. We're implementing digital credentials, verifiable credentials using INGI, who is also being used by Trinidad Tobago. And the idea is to, by the way, I was not the one that pushed NG, okay? Both the Dominican Republic and Jamaica met several solutions for verifiable credential, and they chose, as Trinidad did, to go with an open source approach to guarantee sovereignty, to guarantee ownership of the code, and to make sure they were not locked in a vendor. But now that we know the benefits of DPGs for implementation of DPIs, we don't need to stop there. This is the ecosystem of open source. This small first part are the DPGs for DPIs. There's so many other DPGs. There's so many other open source solutions that are amazing and has still going through the certification of DPGs. Only on Code for Development and Repository, we have 250 open source solutions. And Trinidad Tobago knows that. I'm looking at Inchen there. I'm very proud that Trinidad Tobago is IDB's first open source first digital transformation. Trinidad Tobago is looking at all the benefits of open source, not only to guarantee sovereignty, not only to be more cost effective, not only to be more transparent, but as a way to strategically develop their tech ecosystem. When hiring proprietary solutions, it's very hard for local ecosystems to compete with international ones. But when we have demand for providers who will implement and maintain open source solutions, local tech ecosystem has a huge advantage. And having an open source first digital transformation, it's really going to have an impact on local tech ecosystem of Caribbean countries. And this is why, together with UNDP, Michael is here somewhere. We're helping the Ministry of Digital Transformation to build an open source program office, which will have a shared governance with the University of West Indies. And Dr. Kim is also here, an amazing partner for us and for the Ministry of Digital Transformation of Trinidad Tobago. So we are designing the OSPO because we also know that if we're planning a scalable, long-term, sustainable, open source first digital transformation, you need to build the governance for it. Let's not do it impromptu us. We need to prepare for it, right? So I wanted to share the amazing example from Trinidad here as well. And I have to say, it takes a village, right? We were last week, I think 2 weeks from now, in Trinidad Tobago, designing the open source program office with iGovTT, with the ministry, with UE, and the amount of partners from the private sector, from the government, from academia, who are engaged in making this happen is amazing. It was a beautiful experience, and I know that Dr. Kim and Michael are going to share more about it, so I'm going to move forward. Um, and all of this is amazing, but why am I up here talking about this? Because the IDB is committed to helping governments implement open source. We know that open source is an incredibly powerful tool to drive development in the region. And we're investing in supporting uh, increasing the offer of open source solutions that are strategic for government, making sure that you know that those open source solutions exist and helping you reuse them if you want to. So as I said, on our repository now, I don't have a QR code. I'm very analogic. But if you go into code.idb.org, you're going to find our repository. We have now 250 open source solutions that are strategic to governments. They span all sectors, from DPIs to physical infrastructure like roads and water and sanitation, to education, to smart cities. 60 of those solutions were developed by the IDB. We see digital solutions as open knowledge. So everything that we build, we try to open source. But we're also curating open source solutions from all around the world. The open source ecosystem has developed so much in the past couple of years that it would be shameful not to share the amazing things that are happening with the governments that we are supporting. The second thing is generating demand, right? Making sure that you all know that those open source solutions exist. We have now a network of developers that work in government. It's called Code for Dev, which is very similar to Code Develop. It gets very mixed up in my head, but it's Code for Dev. And we do monthly workshops where every month we're teaching developers that work in government how to implement an open source solution or how to start procuring an open source solution. We have Slack channels. We have a YouTube page within IDB's YouTube. Every event that we do, we upload to our YouTube. We have a GitHub. The idea is to have every channel that we can possibly have to talk to you. And we're supporting reuse. So the idea in our reuse support, it varies according to the level of contact that we have. So our main approach is that anyone that comes in contact with us wanting to implement an open source solution, we're going to help you. But we're doing a lot within IDB operations. So IDB operations in every sector, they're implementing open source solutions, and we're there to help them. This is a little bit of the work that we have been doing in the region. It's impossible to read, but I wanted to share two use cases that go beyond DPI, just to share a little bit of what I'm trying to say. So for the education sector in Brazil, we're actually adapting UrbanPy, which is an open source solution. I don't know if they are already a DPG. They're about to be. I'm looking at John. Yes, we are DPG. Oh, round of applause for us. We have just been certified as a DPG. This is IDB's first DPG. I'm very excited. Thank you, John, for this live update. But this solution, this open source solution, was built during COVID to understand accessibility to health centers. So what we do is that we have a map of population density, and we have a map of where the physical infrastructure of hospitals in COVID case is, and how long does it take to a person to reach the hospital. And that way we understood the gaps and where to build temporary hospitals during COVID. And now this is being adapted to Brazil for the education sector. So we're using this to understand where to build new schools. We know where students are. We know where schools are. We know the capacity of each schools, and we're trying with the solution, we can see which schools need to be expanded and where do we need to build new schools. And we're using this to prepare new operations in the education sector to make sure that infrastructure meets demand. Another case that we're supporting is physical infrastructure. So we're building Sunny Hub with the University of Valencia. But this system that is going to be open source, it's already, oh, I have 5 minutes. Sorry, I was not looking at you before. Okay. I will move faster. I think I'm almost done. The system, most of it is already open source, and it can help any country plan the water and sanitation infrastructure, how to build it. 2 more slides. And what I wanted to say here is that IDB is not the only organization that is supporting governments to implement open source. There's a literal alliance of ecosystem organizations that is ready to help any government that wants to implement open source solutions. There's actually governments within the Digital Public Good Alliance. So I invite all of you to join the Digital Public Good Alliance. If you are interested, you can bother this guy over there. And I also wanted to invite all of you. This is actually just for governments, but all the governments here, all the countries here to join the 15.5. The 15.5 is a campaign, an alliance to support countries who wants to implement digital public infrastructure. The idea is to have 50 countries implementing at least one DPI in the next 5 years. And I know that you're going to do so much more. The Digital Public Good Alliance is the one leading this campaign. And all of these other organizations are supporting it. So it takes a village, and we're here to help. And we invite all of you to reach out, to be honest. And that's it. I'm done in 5 minutes. Thank you so much.